everyone. Welcome in. I already see a bunch of people here. We're so excited for this webinar. As people are coming in, it is for cutting through costs and competition in 2025. We're here with Hatch, Everconnect, and Bay State Bath. And before we get started, I'm going to let people take a few minutes to jump in. Let's do a quick icebreaker. My name's Emily. If you're new here, I'm in charge of events, and my favorite season is fall. So the last few webinars we've done are fall theme icebreakers. Today, I want to know, what is your favorite Halloween candy, or as I like to call it, like aunt tax. When I hang out with my nieces and nephew, it's the first candy I steal. And I do not care if I steal it. So mine is a Milky Way. If any of my nieces or nephew have a Milky Way in their trick-or-treat bag, somehow they just disappear. So pop in your chat what you like. So I'm going to type in mine, Milky Way.
Who's next?
Reese's Cups.
Ooh, a candy corn. People are either a yay or nay for candy corn.
Can't do candy corn.
No.
Look at Sean's just.
No.
Yep. Josh Smith, you know that peanut butter cup, man.
Yeah. That's my speed right there. Anything chocolate and peanut butter, look out.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. I also like, if you haven't tried yet, Nerd Clusters. Those are they're not just Halloween. They're quite addictive.
Okay.
Ooh, coconut.
Yeah. Mounds, Almond Joy. Anything else with coconut. That's my favorite.
Let's see. Freeze-dried Skittles. That is like very specific. Is there a specific flavor of the Skittles, Michelle?
Freeze-dried Skittles. Interesting.
Have you ever had freeze-dried candy, Chris?
I haven't.
I feel like
a new thing.
Yeah, they got really popular. I feel like at like craft fairs, because people bought their own like freeze-dry machines, and they just put regular candy in there, and it, I don't know what it does, the technology, but it usually puffs them out and makes them like crunchy.
Oh, is that like that little round ice cream pellets that you get?
Oh, like the dots?
Dots, yeah.
It's like dots, but like a whole new thing. Yeah.
Gotcha.
They're very good. The pumpkin shape makes a heck of a difference. Okay, awesome. I see people still trickling in, but I want to get started and be cognizant of everyone's time. So if you're joining us now, you're here for Cutting Through Cost and Competition in 2025. We have a great panel today from Hatch, Everconnect, and Bay State Bath, and I'm going to give them the floor to introduce themselves before we start getting into our conversation today. Chris, you're up first.
Cool. Thank you so much for the intro. My name's Chris Bache. I'm co-founder and CEO at Hatch. Really excited to be here. Talk to everybody. Just real quick on what Hatch does. We are an AI platform for CSRs, and we help home improvement and home service businesses with things like sales follow-up and speed to lead and customer communication.
Awesome. Next up, Sean.
Hey, Sean Smith. I'm the sales director here at Everconnect for all of our small business product offerings. Everconnect is a collective of 10 different marketing and technology solutions groups, primarily centered around home service space, everything from paid leads all the way to full service agency capabilities. So,
thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Belo, owner and chief operator of Bay State Bath. We're a one-day bath remodeling company, but we have expanded into full bath remodeling because most of our competition does not do that. And the name of the game is to do things that other people won't do so that you maintain your unique competitive advantage. And even though it's a pain in the neck to do full bath remodeling, if you work hard enough, you can pull it off and still be profitable. I have been in the one-day bath business for over 20 years now. One of the key features of my success is marketing myself on television. I happened to go to a webinar not a webinar. They didn't have webinars back then. That's how old I am. I did like a seminar, like a marketing seminar, and I learned all about the marketing wheel and found out that TV is probably the only way to really penetrate a large market. And my market is pretty big. I'm in the Boston markets, and it's very expensive to advertise in this market. So you got to make sure it works. And once digital marketing became a thing, when you combine the digital marketing piece with the television marketing piece with a unique selling feature, which as a woman in contracting, that in and of itself was very unique. My first career was in nursing, so that's also like I have all sorts of unique little spiffs that I promote, and it really has served me well. I've had a very good run, and along the way, my TV producer said, Jennifer, you keep saying this in just one day. That's what I want you to close every commercial out with. And then when I realized that my competition was starting to copy that, I trademarked it. So even though everybody else still says like, oh, in as little as one day, if they say in just one day, they get a letter from my attorney. So it's been a great run. I love it. I'm a workaholic for sure. So that's part of the reason I'm successful too, because when you absolutely love your work, you just can't get enough of it.
So but Jennifer, how did you go from nursing to one-day baths?
Well, my ex-husband doesn't talk to me anymore because after he dragged me into this 20 years ago, he hung in here for about 5 years, but then it just wasn't working. He was miserable. So, I guess I didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I threw the husband out and took
the husband out with the water.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's how it was. I was only supposed to come here, answer the phones, set a few appointments. I had as a matter of fact, I do still have my nursing license in the Massachusetts market because I just transferred it from Long Island. We literally dragged 4 kids, moved up here, cashed in. When you talk about going all in, I went all in. And we sold our house, came up here, used the money from the sale of the house and a condo that I also owned to buy the business because my husband was a salesperson in the one-day bath remodeling business down in Long Island.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And for the first time, he was actually making a lot of money. I had never, he was just, like we were middle-class people. I was a nurse. He was just a contractor type guy. And I said, Dave, he kept like being in and out of work. And so on one occasion when I had worked a bazillion extra shifts and I was like newborn baby number 4 at home, I said, I'm getting tired of being the one like working all the time. Can you just go get a job? Here's the want ads. I don't care what you do. I'm going to go to work tonight. And when I come home in the morning, you better have an interview and you better have a job by the end of the week. And so he got this job. He was supposed to be an installer, but when I met him, he was like a car leasing salesman.
Oh, no.
So the owner of the business took a look at him and said, you know what? You would do really well in sales. Why don't we try you in sales? And I'll never forget. I went back to work like that next night after he decided he was going to take the job. And some of my nursing friends were like, oh, Jen, Dave got the job. That's great. What's he going to be doing? I'm like, I don't know. He's going to be selling some like plastic bathtubs and walls that go. It sounds ridiculous, but you know what? Whatever. He's got a job. Let's see how it goes. And the next thing you know, he's making $100,000 a year. And he comes home one day and says, let's buy one of these. There's one for sale up in Boston. And that back then was a franchise system. It was part of the Rebath franchise network. And I've eventually evolved and gotten away from them. And I'm now an elite BCI dealer. But yeah, that's how it started. And I guess they say like when you get bit by the entrepreneurial bug, if that's your thing, it's like an addiction. It's bad.
You're in.
I'm in big
cool.
time. So yeah.
For life. Yeah. Hooked for life.
Yeah. So
thank you for being here. We're really excited. And this is exactly why you're here, giving that perspective that, we don't have on the Hatch side. And it's a unique story, but we hear that a lot from different people of how they got into it. And now they're hooked in, and we're happy to be here with you. So I want to kick it off on something you actually said, Jennifer. So you mentioned to us when we started talking about this of like cost of marketing has risen, and that just, it used to be, somewhere around 8%, and now it's something upwards of 15%.
Yeah.
So I was like, curious of what your thoughts of like factors that contributed to this, and then also like how that has impacted your overall like business strategy. Like, how do you continue when this cost is going up?
Yes, it's, I used to brag that when you have a really efficient marketing wheel, your costs, like the pay-per-click advertising and the digital support like that we get from Chris's company and EverConnect, that really was the big game changer. Like, TV is way too expensive by itself as a model. And nowadays, people just use that internet like a phone book. So if you don't make sure the speed to lead, if you're not the first one in, and I've just come to accept that the days of having like an 8%, 10% cost of marketing, they may not come back for a while, if ever. Because when I first started, when I was new, I accepted the fact that my cost of marketing was probably going to be around 15 to 20 because I had to break into the market. But now I'm well branded. So I really, for many years, was right around 10%. But we have 11 competitors in this space right here. And it seems like every time you turn around, there's somebody else popping onto the scene. So because now big investor companies have bought these types of businesses. So the amount of money that's getting dumped into the marketing wheel from the competitors is way up there. And, it's just, I think in this industry, a 15% cost of marketing is considered to be pretty average. It's not something that you have to cry about. You just have to build it into your operating, you just accept it as part of your budget. But of course, I always tell everybody here, like, guys, the goal is 10%. So we're just going to keep trying to work our way down there. Some months I'm at 12%, some months I'm at 16%. But at the end of the year, I would say this year I'll probably shake out right around probably 13, 14%. But so it's, it's competition. The more competition you get, the more you're going to have to spend, unless you have some magic. I don't have any magic tricks. I just know how to get in people's living rooms and into their computer. You just have to be right up at the top of the internet search. And then once you get that lead, thanks to companies like Chris's, you got to work them to death. You can't speed the lead, number one, and then don't lose them. Because even though we all love the one call close model, when people say, because it used to be 3 estimates, now it's like, oh, I'm getting 5 estimates, 7 estimates, 9 estimates. It's like, guys, what, are you kidding me? But
yeah,
people, that's what they want to do nowadays.
Definitely. And like talking about like the rise in cost of the marketing side, Sean, I'm sure you see it on your side. And Chris, I'd love your feedback as well on just like that, and the fact that it is what it is almost, but how do we allocate that? And how do we balance that? Like, how do we make the most of it?
Yeah, Sean, you want to give it a shot real quick? I got some thoughts too, but.
Yeah, same thing we see on the marketing side, right? We have competition in our space as well, so it's driving our cost up, just even from a lead generation standpoint. Really, how to really truly overcome that is making sure that you differentiate yourself when you're talking, when you get that lead, regardless where it comes from, right? So, leading off with a phone call, exuding confidence, having the right intake will help conversion rates, and then in turn will keep your marketing costs as low as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
Is my connection okay, guys? Because I keep.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I would only say, like, from my experience, because I normally deal after the lead's generated, but what I see the best customers do, I think Jennifer nailed it, is they nurture them. So if you're going to pay 15% to get cost to acquire that lead, then you better have a plan to reach out to them as many times as possible before they get seen. Reach out to them as many times as possible after they get seen. Reach out to them as many as possible after they buy something from you. Make sure they become loyal customers, and stay in communication with them and stay top of mind. And then you can kind of deal with the 15%, although it's not ideal, but you've got to optimize every single lead. And I even think, I mean, during COVID, it wasn't like that. Everybody got a little greedy. It was just like, I mean, it was just everywhere. And now it's like, it's back to sort of the old times. And I just think that's what folks got to do. You have to optimize every single lead that you buy. And then the 15%, it's not affordable, but it's, you can still build a business at the 15%. Yeah.
Definitely. Thanks. And I want to jump right into something, Jennifer, you were mentioning already. Like, it's the fact that, the internet is just so full of, like, you can Google search something and all of a sudden it's that phone book times 100, and people aren't asking for 3. They're going on there and getting 5, 10 estimates. And from that perspective, I'm curious, Sean, from your side, how to make the most of that when there's so much noise. People are getting so many different, and how to cut through that and be standing out when it is like, it's almost triple of what they're getting.
Yeah. So it's a little easier to disseminate yourself when you do some branded stuff, right? It's a little trickier when you're entering into a non-branded market. I know from just experience of like what we're utilizing on our end is to, preferred vendors, accredited restorers. We're trying to use the terminology when somebody's calling into a non-branded industry specific network to be connected with a service provider, portraying it as though like this person's been vetted, approved by us. We do background checks so that like they know that they're talking to somebody who is qualified, good, just a general overall quality contractor versus, some guy that, might be just doing this out of his, garage as a startup. You want that, the confidence into that buyer, right? When they're calling through. And a branded campaign, it's a little bit easier because you can actually put in, your own online reputation can kind of plug into those landing pages. Your experience can be built in there. You put the faces of your company in there, and that it connects a little bit more on the muman level when you can do that from a branded standpoint versus the non-branded. So it does get a little tricky, disseminating between the two.
Yeah, definitely. Chris, what about you? Anything thoughts on that?
I don't know. I'm curious, really, Jennifer. She probably has the best point of view on this. But like, if I'm a homeowner and I'm getting 7 quotes, how do you stand out? I mean, I'm curious, Jennifer, like how you deal with that. Is it just price? Is it like, how do you do that? How do you deal with that?
It's really the company story. Like, you really, especially because my particular business is so like, there's so many opportunities to screw it up so bad.
Right.
Like, you can order, the salesman can price it wrong. The people here can order it wrong. The installers may not be, capable of seeing like a small detail that they should be ahead, like prepared for. And, the pressure is on because it's a one-day experience, right? We're promising this in just one day thing. So I always say to everybody, like, we're going to the Super Bowl every single day. And if I have 6 or 7 crews out in the field, 6 or 7 jobs in a single day, that's 6 or 7 different Super Bowls that we're, trying to win. Everybody has to really, and what we do is we really, it really is the sales team. Like, I have to make sure that the sales team is well trained in a good pitch, and really, they have to drive home that I hate to say it, but the fear of everybody else. And then, as one of my salespeople says, like, I tell them about, this company, that company, because it's a pretty competitive market, and we all know each other. It's almost a little incestuous. Like, people kind of float around and go from one
one company to another. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And installers kind of do the same thing, but everybody knows, I hate to say it, but I'm kind of a well-known, I shouldn't hate to say it. I love the fact that everybody knows who I am because I've been on TV for such a long time. So I literally have customers who say, Jennifer, I've been saving for 10 years just to buy a bathroom for you. Like, I knew when I first started seeing your TV commercial so long ago that I love you and I want to buy from you. So my team sells me as the owner operator. I have kind of kooky commercials. People get a sense of my personality when they see me on my TV commercials. And then of course I make sure, like I'm the salesman and I wear a lot of hats around here. And it's easy for me because I know the business so well. So my sales team is trained to carve out the experience. It's not like the great, because honestly, most of us are buying from one vendor. So you can't even say like, oh, I have better products than so-and-so. We all have a lifetime warranty. We can all do it in a day. We all, whatever. I went and got my construction supervisor's license. So I'm definitely more prepared and experienced, or at least higher level licensing. I have a master plumber on staff. I really built a tremendous A team. And the real success stories in this business are from that type of mindset. Like you take ownership of what you're doing and you don't take any chances. So when you can if you can really instill that fear of everybody else, love for the one you're with, it should be an easy decision to make. And then of course, you incentivize them with a great, opportunity that day. So just like when you're trying to book a lead, you really, the speed to lead, the urgency, same day, next day appointments, no such thing like, oh my God, do I have a fit if I see an appointment that gets booked 3 or 4 days out? So I'm like, guys, you might as well just take that, whatever,
and throw it away.
$100 and just flush it down the toilet. Those people are going to get scooped up by one of our competitors who might have a great one-call closer there. So it really is important to just, in whatever your unique competitive advantage is, find it, own it, and teach your salespeople how to really sell it. And don't do it in my market because you'll never win against me.
Oh, throwing down the gauntlet. I love it.
There you go.
Yeah, I love it. You said it perfectly. Like, I think it's like finding that brand story and what makes you stand out, and then being able to nonstop promote that from the people right when they talk to you at speed to lead and to the end of the job, fulfilling that fully of what that brand is telling you.
Yeah.
I love it. Thanks. Chris, you're right. Jennifer just nailed it on the head on that one.
Yeah, she crushed.
Do you have
and I'm not moving to Boston and starting a one-day tub company. I'll tell you that much.
Perfect. And I also think it like starts the conversation right into, we talk about the rise of AI. I'm sure everyone sees it everywhere. It's almost overwhelming in the space, but it fits perfectly into when we talk about speed to lead. That's a phrase we hear at Hatch. It's something we offer, but also it's something of like, you have to be the first to it. If someone is coming on site and I'm seeing 9 estimates, someone's consistently following up, I'm going to likely pick them because I'm like, oh, they're consistent, they're real, they want to do this job. But also, who's doing that? Who has the time to do that? I'm answering at maybe 8 p.m. once I finally get my day done. So I think that's it is a lot of work. And I think when we think about AI can be a little, out there, unknown.
Yeah.
I'd love for Chris, to jump in and talk about a little about how, we did lose him. Sean, it'll probably join back in a second. I think
I'll jump back in. Yeah.
Wi-Fi, but I'll give it to you, Chris. Though.
Well, yeah, no, I appreciate it. I think AI is here to stay this time, folks. It's there's too much investment money going into making this like a reality, and we're already seeing it in our business. But I think like the way you can think about it is the cost of marketing costs are going up. Some costs have to come down somewhere. And I think that's going to be starting with using AI, like at a level 1 CSR, just like the normal, what's your address? Can we service that area? What hours are you open? These type of things can be handled by AI. And be honest with you, consumers prefer a quick answer on that stuff. Now, when it comes to like closing the deal, human stuff, right? That's like real value human stuff. That stuff's still going on. That stuff's still going to happen. But what we're seeing right now is, I was looking at the metrics this morning, we're tripling our AI conversations month over month for our customers. And it's because they're able to use their human staff on the higher leverage activities, with whether it be following up on a $30,000 quote or going back out to the home to close the large deal, or, any other like sort of higher value stuff. But we're seeing AI and speed to lead work like today. And so it leads me to believe it's gonna stay. And I think it's just gonna improve, as it goes. And what happens is, I think as a business owner, at least the way I'm thinking about it, and Jennifer, I'd love to hear what you think, but like I can put AI in certain places that are, high sort of rinse and repeatable things that really I shouldn't have to pay, $30 an hour human for, and then take those great employees and empower them to do stuff that's going to make me more revenue. And then I can afford the 15% cost of marketing, so it's just like, I think business is going to change. And that's what I'm starting to see.
I agree 100%, Chris, because somebody popped up a question, said, is my 15% cost of marketing all inclusive? Does that include the lead setters? I only have 3 girls who work the phones for the leads, because, I've never done, well, maybe once or twice, like bought a list and just have people do an auto dialer. That kind of stuff is totally foreign to me. I know nothing about it. I'm no good at it. Even though I have Salesforce, I have no idea how to work that part of the program. And I'm so spoiled with people calling in and having these great leads that the idea of having to make, 100 phone calls before I get one person to talk to me, I don't think I could do that job. And I don't usually, I always do each job that I ask people to do for me, just to experience it so I know what they're going through. And I don't think I would ask, well, maybe my worst enemy, I might ask to do that. But I think that's a terrible job. So I love the idea that, if you have, and you guys, Hatch has gotten so many, I've gotten so many people back through the rehash part of Hatch. And, I definitely think that Hatch, I know that when it was first introduced to me by, Mark Zockel, he got on a big webinar with everybody. He's our corporate, sales director. He's like, guys, if you're not using Hatch, you're basically a dumbass. Like, get on Hatch. You really have to use this product.
Who's this guy? I love this guy.
Yeah.
Who's this guy? No, just kidding. I know. That's great.
Yeah. So anyway, so I agree with you 100%. And it's weird. People don't want to talk to people until they have to nowadays.
That's it.
It's the strangest thing. Like I had a customer the other day who was pissed off at me, and he sent me an email. So I picked up the phone. I'm like, well, let's talk about it. And then he never called me back. And then the next day he sent me another angry email. And I said, listen, I tried to call you. Why don't you? He said, well, you sounded very aggressive. I'm like, yeah, because you were criticizing me and I worked my ass off and I'm pretty damn good at so if anybody criticizes me, I want to fix it. I don't like when people aren't happy. I need everybody to love me. So if you don't love me, you wait 5 minutes, you're going to be my biggest fan, but I need a chance to do that. And it's hard to do that through an email. But this guy, to this day, he still hasn't picked up the phone. But I won him over.
No, well, I think you nailed it. I mean, that's what we're seeing, which is you use text and email to sort of get people to the point where they want to talk. And then the human jumps in and has the conversation. And, we're experimenting with voice AI. And I think it's good for inbound. If instead of a IVR where press 1 and press 2, a little bit of AI to get you where you got to go. And then a human jumping in to do the value conversations makes total sense to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We're seeing it work really well. But then the outbound, it's like, you're right. I mean, I think about my kids. My kids don't want to make a phone call ever. If I asked my son, he got his first oil change, and I was like, hey man, you got to call and make an appointment for your car. And he was like, what? No, he just go on his phone and he expects to text them or message them. And so I think the world's going that way for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Yeah, it is.
I'm definitely in that demographic. I don't want to call anyone. I want to text. I want the chat bot to tell me right away the information I'm looking for at that time. So that's why I love it. And I love
Emily, is that because we make you anxious?
No, it's more just I want the information right away. And I don't want to almost calling someone feels like a task, and whereas just texting or messaging, it feels just very easy and very I get the information right when I need it. And I don't have to be like, hi, this is what I'm looking for. It just feels like a different communication form. And I look for it when I go on websites everywhere. And I just expect everyone else to have that feature, especially now working at Hatch. I'm like, everyone should have it. Why?
Well, it's probably how you talk to your friend. It's how we talk to a lot of our friends and family now too.
Yes.
So it's just like this thing.
Yeah. Text updates right away. So.
And Jennifer, I'm sorry I don't know this, but do you have like can you tell me about your rehash program, like how you have it set up? Do you have you said you had 3 girls on the phone or 3 employees on the phone?
Yeah, I have. So here's where I'm going to say I'm going to have to call my daughter into the room because she runs the whole Hatch. I can honestly say I have never once used the platform.
Okay.
I have somebody who's Emily's age who uses the platform because at first I resisted it. But I got sick of hearing Mark Zockel's, he didn't directly call me an idiot, but that's basically what he, like I went through one of our little meetings, like where he does this big like meeting with the whole group of us owners. And then I heard him talk about it again at the second meeting. I said, oh, shoot, I meant to do that the last time he mentioned it and I forgot about it. So,
but were you doing like a rehash program before that or did you not?
Just somebody in the office would
just calling.
All the appointments that we ran the next day, we would call everybody who we saw the prior day and touch base. And, some of them would call us back. And if they didn't answer, we would send them an email through Salesforce, like kind of a, how'd everything go? We would love to, see if there's anything we can do to help earn your business, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes the people would feel more comfortable because, the salesman also, I know a lot of companies like mine won't allow the salesman to work the lead beyond the one appointment, but I don't believe in that. I believe that as long as the salesman was well liked by the lead, I don't want the lead to have to somebody new. Like I do everything to look different from all the other companies like mine. Like I don't even have a sales manager. Like I'm it. Every time I try to have a sales manager, I'm very angry at myself for doing that. So I'm like, I didn't do that, Jennifer. You hate sales managers. That was the dumbest thing. So it's terrible. They don't, like 5 minutes. I think in 20 years, I've had 3 of them. And each time they lasted 5 minutes.
That's funny. And do you know if in the rehash side, like, are they still peppering in phone calls with the automated messages?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We let Hatch do its thing, but I still want, because I'm still kind of old fashioned.
Of course. Yeah, no, it works. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's still, I'm reading a comment right now where they say that the demographic of their customer base is older, like 65 years old.
Yes.
Is that the same for you guys?
Yes, absolutely.
It's older. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And I know my mom, she does know how to use a cell phone. She does know how to text.
Yep.
She's definitely my demographic, and she's very old school. She's like 3 estimates for sure. When I was learning the sales system, I was practicing like the sales system on her, and the one call closed. She's like, oh, I would never buy from you. I'm like, oh, Mom, you never know. She says, absolutely not. That's ridiculous. I can't believe you say that to people. I'm like, Mom, it works. What are you talking about? But anyway.
Well, it's the combo. I was going to say, I was just texting with my mom about a volleyball game to go to tonight, but I know like to actually meet up to get to that place, I'm going to have to make a phone call and make it happen. Right. So I think it's the same. I think it's the same thing. That's interesting.
But watch when this generation gets old
becomes a homeowner. Yeah.
Yeah, well, who knows when they're ever going to be able to do that? If the house of prices never come home, they'll just be renters forever. The poor people, Emily. I feel so sorry for you guys. But hopefully things do soften up and but anyway, it's a very interesting time right now. Who would have ever thought that this would be the way of the world? I mean, I guess the movies told us this, right? Like Mad Max and all those sci-fi movies.
Hope we don't go that far. Hope we don't go that far.
Yeah. Sean, I wanted to give you an opportunity to jump in. I know it's been like a good convo. We were talking just about like AI and all of that, but I'm sorry you had a little disconnection problem, but I'm glad you're back.
Yeah. I don't know if my daughter came home and turned on every piece of electronic that she had in her room and something my bandwidth just went, so relocated a little bit. From the AI standpoint, I've seen it over the years. It's gradually evolving and obviously the rehashing of piece of it is impressive. But I know we even use it on our side of the business for like, we take the call track, right? So the recording, because we do a lot of pay per call, right? So like we're delivering a phone call live, real time, customer on one end of the phone. That's, a pre-screen lead that's going to the service provider. Our account managers are responsible for providing feedback when there's a disconnect. So like they take the script, instead of it being a full blown, transcript of the 5-minute conversation, they're getting a summary. And it'll actually summarize and tell them like, hey, what went wrong? So like if there's an issue with one of the contractors and they're just not seeing the conversion on the inbound leads, which we need that to happen because that's how we bill, right? So like that's what we get compensated for is, hey, a lead that ends up being a scheduled appointment. That allows them to take that information much quicker than sitting and listening to the recordings and reach out to that service provider to be able to provide that coaching and that feedback in real time, thus hopefully correcting the situation and allowing them to convert, get more appointments end up being more sold deals, so on and so forth. So using it as the end user, as the contractor is one piece of it, but the tech companies too, it's been great support for us as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted to jump in to see, I know people are in the chat right now, and they are talking about similarly what you said, Chris. You mentioned that someone popped up, like the demographics are 65 and older. So for that, I guess like we talk about like the two, it's the back and forth, but a combo of how to reach your customers. Jennifer, have you anything on that specifically, like what you're finding most successful when it comes to it?
In terms of the marketing, you mean, or once you have a lead?
Once you have a lead, sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, I think Hatch saves us, they'll definitely stick with the leads because we get a lot of inquiries that sometimes we just can't connect with. You get an internet lead that comes through, and then it's weird because you get it in and then we call them right away or we email them right away and we don't always get them right away. We have to just keep working. It's the strangest, whereas back, whatever you want to say, 15 years ago, when the whole pay-per-click thing started, you call, if you got a lead, you call them, they responded immediately. Yeah. But now it's different. I don't know if it's because they're getting slammed with 10 different companies, just like mine, that are, and that's what I hear is the leads are saying, oh my God, and I don't know if that's all going to change come January once that new FCC law goes into play. That things will not be as overwhelming for the consumer, but I think that's part of the problem. But you just got to keep working the lead, and I think Hatch has been a lifesaver for trying to keep those opportunities because we get leads through Hatch that I can tell I'm like, guys, how come you didn't work this lead harder? We're supposed to be, because we try to call them morning, afternoon, evening, because you just don't know when you're going to hit them, right? You got to try every different time of day and email, and we don't text from here. We just like to Hatch text through the Hatch program. So that's basically, and again, I don't have the exact metrics, because all I care about is at the end of the month if I'm hitting my sales goal for the month, which, knock on wood, we've been doing that. So I let my daughter, who handles the lead setters and the Hatch program, because she's 25 years old, so all this is super easy for her. She was going to help me get on. I could barely get on to this webinar.
That's awesome. Hey, Sean, I do have a question. What are you guys hearing? I don't know as much about this, but Jennifer mentioned the January 1st change. Yeah. How's it impacting you guys?
So on our side of the business, we've always typically focused on the 1-to-1 ratio. So
right.
Lead comes in, goes to one contractor. So It's really not affecting us that badly. We do have a side of our business called remodeling.com that was the form-based business where you could buy in bulk or you could pay a little bit higher for exclusive.
Right.
That is going to have a direct impact on that. Talk about cost of marketing. Like, you can't buy bulk leads for cheap. I mean, that's kind of pretty much go away. However, you should be getting higher converting leads. That's right. Those 1-to-1 leads should Function way better than, like you said, the person that's getting called by 10 contractors. The other piece of it too is if somebody's going to either your branded site or making a phone call, even through a non-branded site, a lot of times they're a little bit further along in their decision-making process. So those phone calls or those branded forms that are coming into your site should be, a little bit further along than the person that's going to a general website and just filling out, knowing that they're going to be contracted by 10 people. So I think you see conversion rates go up. Lead count might go down overall, obviously, but hopefully the quality across the industry from a lead generation standpoint is a higher quality for the contractors out there.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. I got a couple of questions I'm going to get to, Emily, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, please.
One of them, yeah, as we wrap up here. One question: is it common practice for everyone to have a designated hatch person in the office? We hesitate to get our salespeople involved. I would say yes. I mean, we are a platform designed for CSR, customer service rep, inside sales rep. This should be the platform they're on because it does a lot of the heavy lifting, and they get to spend their time dealing with inbounds and responses. So I would say absolutely. And it sounds like, Jennifer, you have at least one, maybe 2 or 3 people in the office, including your daughter, who sort of manage it. Maybe a couple hours a day, an hour a day. I don't know like what their whole workload looks like, but although that was a good question. I think even if you don't use Hatch, it's probably smart at a certain size to add somebody to do, speed to lead and rehash and follow up and talk to these customers all the time so that you sort of create a way so you don't have a leaky bucket. Kind of way I think about it.
Yeah. And you got to have somebody who is a fan of Hatch. You can't have somebody who's like thinks, because I see one of the people who responded here in the little comment box was mentioning that, they're afraid that the customers are annoyed by all the, come on, I just text.
We got a guest.
Person to
we
come
got a guest.
Let's see. So here's my daughter, Kirsten. So she's the person who manages Hatch. And so Chris is the owner of Hatch, and he was just and Sean, what's the EverConnect, Keywords Connect. So we were just talking about how some of the people who are listening to the webinar were saying that they feel like they're annoying the customers, or that it's maybe not a good thing because they feel like the customers might get irritated. And I know that you have to kind of tweak Hatch to suit your
You can definitely make it less messages. There's always the way to customize whatever you want to do. I mean, our rule of thumb is basically either we're going to annoy people so much that they're going to tell us they don't want us to contact them anymore, or they're going to book an appointment to so it's like we call people. Some people even get annoyed with us calling 3 times a day and things. So I don't find it's any, like for people that are really serious, I don't find that it's not beneficial in any way. I think it helps, provide another method of communication if some people don't like to, aren't going to respond by phone or email. But you can certainly dim down the messages if you want to. You don't have to do it. And ours kind of taper off. So it's not like they're getting 3 texts a day, 3 calls a day, and 3, emails a day. We have it set. So the first few days they're getting the most to hopefully engage with them quickly. And then it goes, much slower after that. But you can certainly change the amount of times people get. But we try to contact people as many times as possible so that they either have to respond and book an appointment, hopefully, or at least talk to us so we can qualify them, or just tell us to stop and that they're not interested. And, it kind of helps to weed some people out too. But. And
so is that your full-time job there, is to do the Hatch board, or do you do other things and then just do that for like an hour or 2 a day?
Yeah, I have a couple girls that help manage it with me. We all have our notifications on. So It's kind of whoever gets to it first will respond, just to be, as quick as possible. But I do a lot of the rehash kind of, the sales follow-up I'll do, just because I know some responses better. If it's more of a customized one than one you can just use from the, the saved conversation, saved messages and things to send back to people.
Yep.
But our, and our goal too is we always like to talk to people. So we use Hatch kind of as like a method of hopefully planning a phone call. We don't always message people unless they're really adamant about only texting, and it's the most convenient way for them to communicate. But I'm always trying to get them on a phone. So sometimes it's just about booking kind of a time to talk.
Yep.
But my girls here that are lead setters too help to manage that, just so we can respond as quick as possible in case I'm not at my desk or I'm not working those certain hours or things like that.
Got it. Yeah, it makes sense. So you use text message as a vehicle to get people to get on the phone, and then you
Yeah. And if they're, adamant that they can only text, they work a whole bunch and whatever, we'll just try to book the appointment through the text too.
That's great. I mean, I think it answers one of the other questions Gordon was asking here was, hey, we've been using it. We're having to tweak the AI. That's pretty normal, by the way, as it gets trained, so to speak. But he's asking, should I have somebody like manage it? And I think the answer is yes. At a certain stage of your business, you've got to have somebody focused on that, that part of it, whether it's speed to lead or rehash. I was wondering how many hours you guys spend. What do you think between you and the two girls? Is it a full-time job or a part-time job, do you think?
For Hatch specifically?
Yeah, or just doing like the speed to lead and the sales follow-up part of it.
Yeah, that's really their whole job. So that's like their full-time job. And mine is to both manage them and then kind of help with any place I can if they're not, per se working. But we have coverage pretty much 7 to 7 through the week. And then, on the weekends, we do Saturdays and Sunday too, just a little bit more limited hours. But that is, we have dedicated people specifically focusing on speed.
When did you guys, I'm just curious, like the volume, like the size of your business? I mean, you guys are pretty sizable, it sounds like, but like when did you realize I have to get a full-time person and how can I make that profitable? I think that's what some of the people are asking in here, which is like, I might not be quite at that size yet where I feel like I can hire a full-time person, but they might need to bite that bullet to make that next step of growth. When did you guys like put a person on that job and like to own it?
I think we've always had, my motto has always been the most important person in your business is going to be the person who's on that phone getting those appointments booked. Because without your leads, you're dead in the water. So I never, that person always had to be, and I don't have like a big staff. I don't have a call center room. I don't have I'm kind of, I don't know. I just have, the marketing works. We do this. We don't do we don't have anybody that's doing calling. We're just throwing the net out and we just have to be ready to get the fish in the boat, So we've always, and I've never had more than 3. I definitely would love to have more because if I had more girls, but holy smokes, it's hard to find people to do this job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. It's hard to find people that, and the one thing is it is a job that can be done remotely. So we have 2 girls, one's just a part-timer, but another girl is full-time and this is all she does remotely from home. And she's very good at it. She's very focused. She doesn't screw around. She's, and obviously she has one of our phones. So it's like she's sitting at a desk next to us, but she's just not. She's working from home. So.
And how do you think about, are they incentivized to like close deals or are they? Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we pay a smaller commission, but a commission for every demo that the sales rep is able to do. So as long as their, appointments that they book are able to be presented to, they get a small commission, and then it quadruples when they get a sale. Whenever the appointment sells and it turns into an actual sale for our company, they get a much higher commission. So every single appointment, as long as they can at least get a demonstration, they're getting something. So it helps to, focus them on both qualifying leads and to work really hard to set as many qualified appointments as they can.
Love that. Okay, that makes sense. See, I think that's helpful for people. I'm just looking at the chat and it seems like people that are smaller are getting to that size where it's like, do we invest in this? It's like, how do you invest in it? Well, you got to get a full-time person. You've got to incentivize them to do the right behavior. But if you do that, it sounds like it pays off in the long run.
Yeah, because we don't give I heard you mention $30 an hour. Like our hourly is like $20 an hour.
Right.
But the fun comes in when you get those commissions. And it's like any demo that gets a demo. And that's why I tell my sales team, like, don't you dare no demo. Because you're picking the pockets of my girls who are booking those leads. You come and sit down all day on a phone and see how miserable that can be. So when they get an appointment, you better go demo it. Even if it's God knows we hate one-leggers, but you know what? If it's a one-legger and we're never going to get the husband to get together with the wife because they know what we're up to, you just got to do the best you can. And maybe you're not going to one-call close it, but don't no demo it because I don't want the girls to not get their demo commission. And then, of course, for crying out loud, sell your, because we have like a minimum. We expect our sales team to sell at 40%. If they're not selling at 40%, they're in trouble.
Got it.
So the close rate is 40%. Most of them that are good are selling at 50 to 60%. Like we're rocking and rolling over here. Like this is not, This is not like baby sales. We're serious professionals. We role play the girls on the phone. We role play with them sometime. Like it's just really, it's a sales.
You invested, yeah. But you've invested in that. I think that's so smart. I mean, that's how you've grown to be such a incredible business. That is so cool. Well, thanks for the insight on how you built that. I think that's helpful. It felt like the people in the chat were saying, like, how do I really do this? How do I implement this and make this work for my business and get an ROI? I think you guys just gave some really cool insight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I see some people asking about like one-leggers, the rehash. Basically, they should demo the one-leggers. Don't just go leave. That's the dumbest thing you can do, because you may never get back in. And I know that your chances of closing on one-legger might drop, but I don't know. There's a way to do it. There's a whole process. So if anybody wants to call me offline, or I hate to say it, like, because I'm just thinking to myself, oh, I'm going to go on this webinar. I'm going to teach all my competition how to sell against me. But then I'm like, well, who cares? I'm better than everybody else anyway. So,
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So, and our average sale is right around 18.5 for the guy who just asked that.
Nice. Very good. All right. Well, it looks like we're wrapping up time, Emily.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we're going to see if there's any outstanding questions anyone has for anyone on the call. I will launch a poll that we have.
Yeah, I think let's see a rehash procedure, Kirsten. Basically, so Hatch does the rehash too, right?
Yep, they send a message, a text, and an email the next day after our sales appointment. We also then call. The first day we try to hit them at like all three of our kind of hour marks, the morning, the afternoon, and the evening, and then we try to follow up at least once the next day. Then we kind of go back in the if we can't reach them those first few days, then we'll kind of go back like the following Monday that the appointment if it was a Monday appointment, we'll just check in with the last week's Monday leads if we haven't been able to reach them. But we actually get a really good response through rehash on Hatch. I think a lot of people especially if their appointment didn't go well, they don't really want to pick up the phone and tell you that, so they are very willing to text you or respond by email through Hatch. And it just is, again, one extra layer of, a communication method that you can try to hit them with to see how it went. And some people are happy to share good feedback too, even when we can't get them on the phone. So
I was going to say, I was looking like your response rate on rehash was, almost 90% or something. Like, so 9 out of 10 people at least say something, right? Yeah. Like, and that could be a wide range of responses. It could be too expensive, or, you get everything, right? And then you just text them and then try to get them on the phone. That's like your rinse and repeat process. That's cool. That's great. That's awesome. Love that. Okay. It looks like we're about wrapped up. Any other questions I'm seeing there? Average sales price. I think we got all these.
Yeah.
Chris, I have a question about can I ask you a question, Chris?
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
I know I heard, because I had seen you on a webinar a couple of weeks ago, and you were talking about the AI thing with the auto or the CSR, that first level CSR. Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, we started out with AI and like the research behind that. I want to say like 12 months ago. Like brief history about my company and a company called OpenAI, which is a large company that does AI, are under the same investment group. And so we started collaborating with them on like, how can we help the service industry and the home improvement industry with like level one, like what can AI take out of their hands at a cheaper price? And what we found is it was like, what AI is good at is asking rinse and repeatable questions to get, I call it level one CSR. That's what I think Bill called it when I was on that webinar, which is basically like you get your campaign to go out, the customer responds, the AI can ask 4 or 5 or 6 more follow-up questions to really find out, is this a lead you want to continue working? If someone's out of the office that day, to have AI go and do that instead of the text message just sitting there in the inbox and not getting answered, AI can jump in and have those conversations. We have that in the product now. I will say with it, you got to train it just like any employee, right? So you got to train it. You've got to tell it how to answer questions, and you got to teach it about your business and how to answer, how to deal with pricing. And if somebody says, hey, it was expensive, how do you want it to reply? But you can sort of do that. All with the intent of getting it to a human. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, AI is not at the place where it can like outperform great salespeople or like your daughter or anything like that, right? It wouldn't be that. But it's really like the way I think about it is Hatch had these campaigns that went out, and then these responses came back, and a lot of our customers just didn't get back to those responses. But now AI can do that. AI can get back in and start asking more qualifying questions and taking care of, your sort of level 1 issues.
Right.
That's where AI is at today. Yep. And we have that in the product.
Yeah. I figured you must. It's already working in your Hatch product. Yeah.
Yep. So, and some people use it and some don't, I mean, I think it depends on what you're doing. I see a lot of like larger, higher volume business, and they have so much volume that they don't have people to like get back to these text messages and these emails. And so they've got to at least have some communication, and that's where AI comes in really helpful. And then we do have some integrations with some systems that actually will go and set the entire appointment. But those are pretty simple because you're dealing a lot of times, like we're in the HVAC space. Well, HVAC has membership programs. So that's just about getting booked on a calendar to have your HVAC unit tuned up. Well, that can be done over AI. That's not a huge human interaction that you need to do. Yep.
Gotcha. Very interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, Dean in the chat said we use the AI part and we love it. It takes a huge load off the girl that runs Hatch. So. Yep.
And it still allows the users, because we're not seeing a drop in users, right? So it still allows the users to, close the get the appointment, and they're still getting their commission. But you can always rest assured those text messages that are coming in, those emails, they're getting answered. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else anyone would like to add? Ask each other. We have a few more minutes. If not,
I think that's about it. I think all the questions were asked and the polls were answered. Yep. Nice. Well, here's one last one. What was your price, including a full remodel or just the wet area? Oh, the 18.5.
Yeah, that's kind of just the blend of everything together. I would say we do about, our full remodels can range anywhere from 25,000 to 80,000, depending on the size of the bathroom, with most of them trending, low 30s, I'd say, for full on, a gut to stud remodel in a very, because most of our bathrooms are little teeny 5x7s, but we're probably, I would say, 65% phase ones, meaning just the wet area, and then let's say 35% for the full remodels. So it's I would say it's more, we definitely always think, God knows, the phase ones are that's our bread and butter. But full remodels are more rewarding for me because you get to see a whole bathroom done, and that can be enjoyable. But it's like having a baby. A lot of pain and suffering, but once you have that cute little baby in your hands, it's worth it. So.
Oh, that's great. Well, here's my last comment, and then we'll run. I'm going on YouTube to find Jennifer's commercials. I want to see them. Apparently, they're famous.
Yeah. All right, yeah, you just go. I think Jennifer Belo TV. You'll see a bunch.
Yeah, there's a whole Vimeo of everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, is there really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to check it out. Thanks, guys. This was
all
fun.
right. Thanks, guys.
All right,
have a good day.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.